In this video, I'm going to try and complete the hardest challenge in the F1 game. Can I survive Monaco in the wet backwards against 110% AI with simulation damage turned on? And as you can probably imagine, this challenge didn't exactly get off to the best start. But that's alright, as well the whole point of this video is that it's a difficult challenge to complete, so I knew this wouldn't be done on my first attempt. Anyway, I haven't properly explained to you what my aim for this video actually is. I want to be able to complete 4 laps in 10 minutes, because after 10 minutes the F1 game automatically disqualifies you from the race. This means that I've got to try and complete a lap every 2.5 minutes, all whilst avoiding the AI and try not to crash out in the most slippery conditions possible. And well, it didn't take very long for the first driver to be out of the race. Valtteri Bottas decided to go 4 wide into the first corner and then kind of just crashed into the wall. This was a good and a bad thing for me, as well now I've only got 19 cars to avoid, but everyone kind of got split up going into turn 1, so now I've got to avoid multiple groups of cars in one lap. As we just hit the railing there, by the way, no idea how I didn't get damaged, we're coming up to the Nouvelle chicane and I've got to try and figure out a racing line to try and take it backwards. Jump over the curb there, honestly not a clue what I was doing. Almost lose the car in second and third gear, but I just about managed to keep it out of the barrier. And now you're about to see probably the scariest sight in Formula 1. Kevin Magnussen leading a race, flying past you at over 200 kilometers an hour whilst you're driving backwards in Monaco. But we managed to avoid the cars and I'm actually pretty happy with how I did there until, well, I drove into the barrier. As you can see, I did get a little bit of damage and I considered doing a flashback. However, I realised that it's not a try not to crash challenge, I'm just simply trying to survive Monaco. After we get past all the cars and we get away, well, relatively unscathed. However, the damage was definitely going to slow down my progress a little bit. So now we're coming up to the slowest corner in Formula 1, but we're doing it backwards in the wet. For some reason I decided to accelerate into the corner, so I eventually hit 12 miles an hour. And as you can see, the drivers are just starting to finish their first lap, and I'm not even through, well, probably 2 sectors of a backwards lap. To be honest, all I was focused on at this point was trying to get every lap done in under 2.5 minutes, and well, at this point it wasn't looking great. As we come to the top of this small hill here, we once again pass Kevin Magnussen, who is still somehow leading this race. You're probably just as confused as I am as to why Kevin Magnussen will be leading a race in the wet at Monaco. I can only imagine that this is because of the similar conditions where he took pole last year in Brazil, and EA must have just decided that his character is OP in equal cars in wet conditions. But I'm definitely not complaining, because can you imagine the look on Günther Steiner's face if Haas actually managed to win a Grand Prix? Anyway, enough waffle, we're now about to come up to the most fun part of the track. Taking this hill downwards with damage was honestly so sketchy but so fun. And as we're coming up to the end of the lap, I realised that I probably couldn't listen to track limits with my damage and the fact that it was so slippery already. We now finished the first lap only 1.8 seconds over what I wanted, and adding to the fact that I also had to do a 180 at the start of the lap, I was pretty happy with how it was going so far. And then just a few seconds later, I'm once again having to avoid the AI. I move all the way over to the right, get nice and out of their way, and then I thought I noticed a gap behind Verstappen, but for once George Russell was actually correct about someone turning in on him. Sorry George, and to be fair to you, you have actually been involved in less incidents this year, so I can't really hate it that much. Then I realised that I only had 2.5 minutes to complete a lap, so I couldn't keep waiting around for the AI to pass me. Almost wipe out both Williams there, but that doesn't matter, they're getting enough points anyway. And I just completely disregard the track limits there, because as I said, with the damage that I have, I don't actually think that I can hit an apex properly. So as I speed up the footage here, we completely ignore the Nouvelle chicane, and now we are coming out of the tunnel slowly, and we are once again going to have to face 110% AI. Coming up to what should be an easy left-hander, I just go way too deep. Now we've got red wing damage. So I get past Magnussen and Alonso, and then Verstappen just says, you know what, I've had enough of this guy driving backwards, and does not move out the way. No idea why I did that, and trying to get a move on, I accidentally ram into him once again. And now there were loads of cars, apart from Hamilton and Ricciardo, who seemingly actually had a brain to move out the way, who just parked it up behind Verstappen, so I had to try and find a way to get through them. I almost crashed into Sargent there. Once again, I just seem to be taking out the Williams boys today. But after about 40 seconds of confusion, we finally get out of the chaos. So now I'm thinking, well, I haven't DNF'd yet and it's been 2.5 laps. I must be doing something right, even with the damage that I've got. So yeah, everything is going pretty well. Now we're coming down the most fun part of the track and, well, we just crashed into Kevin Magnussen. Honestly, I don't think there was anything I could do there, and this was the first time that I'd actually DNF'd from the race. But that's alright, and as I've said before, flashbacks are there to be used, so we're obviously going to take advantage of them. I almost did actually crash into Kevin Magnussen again there, but we just about avoided them. From now to the end of the lap, we were kind of in the clear, as I could just stay well to the left and out of the way of all the cars. I ended up just completely cutting turn 1 here, as I didn't want to go head on with another driver again. Now I was just looking at my lap time, and for lap 2 we were 7 seconds under what we needed. At this point everything was actually going pretty well, apart from the fact we'd already DNF'd once. A few seconds later and we're once again passing the AI. No idea how I didn't crash here, but we got away with it, and now I was just kind of running along the barrier and railing for about 10 seconds. This was because I couldn't turn because of my front wing, but with simulation damage turned on, I guess the F1 gods were just giving us that little bit of luck that we needed. A minute later and we're once again coming to the top of this hill, and can someone explain to me how I'm meant to avoid Kevin Magnussen here? I mean, just have a look at this photo. Where am I meant to go? We'll move on from that though, and we are coming to what is hopefully going to be the third of 4 laps, and we end up being 21 seconds above what we need. This means that we've got 1 lap to try and complete in 2 minutes and 51 seconds. A few seconds later and Kevin Magnussen has just won a race for Haas. Then we just go straight into Lando Norris, that's completely on me, and somehow we only picked up a puncture while he DNF'd. At this point I'm starting to think maybe because the race has ended that our car is starting to become a little bit indestructible, and you're about to see why I think this. Basically an identical crash happened, and I'm honestly not too sure why I wasn't DNFing at this point, considering simulation damage was turned on. So I'm just coming under the tunnel here for the final time, and once again I've got to let some cars through. This was all fine until I realised that I've actually got to try and pick up some speed, and this was basically impossible. So the clip you're about to see has been sped up by 10. A mixture of a puncture and wet tyres on a dry surface ultimately finished my race off. I'm pretty sure that this is the first video that I haven't actually been able to complete the challenge that I've been trying. I'm sorry about this, as I've been in London the whole week and I don't actually live in London. So yeah, I'm sorry about that. I hope I haven't wasted your time, but next week I'm definitely going to make sure that I produce an absolute banger video. Subscribe.